We already discussed about the type of lines. No, you remember we have a line which has no endpoint. It extends endlessly. Then, if it has two endpoint, that is what we call line segment. Then, if it has one endpoint and then the other side extend endlessly, that is what we call ray. So now we will see if we compare them to two, then how many kind of lines we'll get. If we draw it like this, we call horizontal. Watch the video which I already shared from YouTube, you'll understand better. Okay. If we draw straight like this, we call it horizontal line. Then if we draw like this, we call it vertical line. This is known as what? When it slips like this, we call it horizontal line. When it stands straight like this, we call it as vertical line. Okay. Then if suppose we draw like this, we call it slanting line. We call them slanting line because it is like that, no? Leaning. Then these are all straight line. But suppose you may draw like that, so it will become a curved line. Okay, so we have straight line, we have curved line, but now we will see pairs of line. Pairs of line mean when we join this straight line, two of them we compare. Okay, I may draw two horizontal line here. Okay, then if you see two or three of them, then if I measure the distance between here, this one here I may take 1 cm. Here also if you measure, the distance will be 1 cm. You may extend them both sides, left and right, but they never intersect, they never meet one another. So what kind of line we call them? Those kind of line we call them parallel lines. Okay, if I name this as L, this as M, then how I will write? I write L parallel M. This is a symbol for parallel. Okay. Equal, it is horizontal. But when I write it in the vertical, it stands for, this is a symbol for parallel line. So how you will read it? L parallel M. So you may have two lines. Okay, which do not meet one another. You may extend them to the right, you may extend them to the left, but they will never intersect, they never meet one another. Okay, and if you suppose you measure the distance between them, you will see that it is always equal. So such kind of line we call them parallel lines. If you observe around us, we have so many examples of parallel lines. Okay, like if you have the grill at home, if you have the window with grill, so if you measure those grill like this, they are all equal and they will never intersect. So such kind of line we call them parallel lines. That is the first one. Then the next one, if suppose I may draw them like this, two slanting line. Okay, so here you see clearly they intersect at one point. So after they intersect at one point, we may extend them, but they will never intersect. Okay, they cut one another at one point, but they will never cut one another. Okay, then what kind of line we call this one? Because they meet at one point, they intersect at one point. Intersect means cut one another. We call them intersecting lines. So remember, the lines which never cut one another, no matter how much we extend them, and the distance between them are always equal. Such kind of line we call parallel lines. Okay, then if we have two lines, they join, they meet one another at one point, then such kind of line we call them intersecting lines. Then suppose if these intersecting lines, they so happen to form like cross. Okay, we draw one horizontal line, one perpendicular line, or sorry, one vertical line. Then if you measure here, you get the angle is 90 degree. You can see, no, this is like equal. Parallel line is like equal. Intersecting line is like multiply. Then if you happen to have another line which look like plus or like cross, okay, then the angle between them is 90 degree if you measure. Then such kind of line we used to call them perpendicular line. What kind of line we call? perpendicular line. Then if suppose I name this line as L, this one as M, then if I write, we will write with this symbol. Okay, we will write with this symbol, so you will see. Okay, if you have this horizontal one like equal, opposite, that is symbol for parallel. But whenever you have this one, the symbol, okay, this is a symbol for perpendicular. So how you will read? You will read L perpendicular M. Okay, so remember the two lines which never intersect one another, no matter how much you produce them, the distance between them are always equal. We call them parallel lines. When two slanting lines, they intersect at one point. Okay, they intersect at one point. Then such kind of line we call them intersecting lines. Then if these lines intersect each other at 90 degree, such kind of line we call them perpendicular lines.